Welcome to Alpine Daily for Tuesday, and I wanted to talk about something that came up in a conversation recently. We were talking in one of our sermons recently about how God is in control of governments and rulers. He raises up rulers and he deposes them, and that raised the question, how do my choices relate to God's plans? If God is in control, do my choices matter? And in particular, the question was, if God is the one who raises up leaders, then does my vote matter in this upcoming election? And I want to encourage you today that God accomplishes His purposes through the choices that we make, that our choices are meaningful and they matter, but God can take our choices that we freely make and accomplish His perfect purposes through them. And the greatest example of this is in Acts chapter 2. And Peter is talking about the crucifixion. He says, Jesus of Nazareth was a man accredited by God to you by miracles, wonders, and signs, etc. He says, this man was handed over to you by God's deliberate plan and foreknowledge, and you, with the help of wicked men, put him to death by nailing him to the cross. Now that's significant because here you see God's activity, and here you see the activity of human beings, both accomplishing the same event, but for different reasons. And what we want to see that to begin with is that God was working out a plan, God's plan for the salvation of humanity, which He worked from the very beginning of time, was that Jesus would die on the cross for our sins. And that was a plan that was essential, and God wasn't just going to let it go. He wasn't going to hope that people did what it took and just kind of stand on the sidelines wishing that this would happen. No, the cross was going to happen. God was going to make sure that it happened. But it says that human beings had their own plan, that the Pharisees, the leaders of Judaism, they crucified Jesus. They put Him to death, it says. Their choices were wicked. They weren't even good choices, and they're accountable before God for their choices, and yet God used those choices to accomplish His larger purpose. And so what we see through these, God's part and then the human part, is that God uses intermediate means to accomplish His purposes. God uses the free choices of human beings, whether they're good or whether they're evil. And so we're not robots, we're not automatons, that God somehow forces us to do what we do to fulfill His plans. But we make our choices, and God accomplishes His through us. That's how great God is. The sovereignty of God is so great and amazing that He can accomplish His purposes through the independent choices of human beings. And then we can choose to be in step with God's plans or to work against them. And we'll be held accountable accordingly. And so with that in mind, I want to encourage you to pray today how great God is, and trust Him that He's going to accomplish His good plans in your life. He was able to accomplish the cross. He can accomplish anything He wants in your life. And ask Him to show you today how He wants you to be in step with His plans today so that you can be helping Him fulfill what He wants to do in your life. God bless you, and I hope you'll experience a great wonder and trust at this awesome God that we serve today.